Hey guys, there's my rosary. There's my rosary. It just disappeared. What, baby? Just lay down. Lay down.
Corona divine misericordiae, in nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Pater noster, qui es in celis, sanctificetur nomen tuum, veniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua, sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et dimite nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimitimus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem.
Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Amen.
Hey guys.
On June 25th, 2021, the 40th anniversary of Our Lady appearing in Medjugorje, the visionary Maria told pilgrims gathered there that Our Lady is preparing a major plan. She said, "That is why I believe that the Madonna is building a new world. She is preparing a major plan, much bigger than we think. By her presence, Mary carries us up to heaven."
We invite you to subscribe to Mystic Post TV on YouTube. Thank you.
Now for over 40 years, the Visionary Vicar is a special attraction for the pilgrims in Medjugorje and around the world. Not long ago, the usually joyful Visionary was in Rome for the baptism of a friend's child, and she surprised the pilgrims gathered there with a somber message. I am here to be among you. You know that I pray for everyone and that you are in my heart. The greatest concern for Our Lady is families. It is a very, very difficult moment in the world. Our Lady is very worried. Vicar, on a number of occasions, has said that Satan seeks to destroy Our Lady's plans for salvation of the world. Vicar warns that Satan is a tireless seducer and he sends evil people into our lives who hide behind attractive appearances.
Padre Pio. Father, please help me. My great place of sin, I ask you to cure my homosexuality. I just went out of this state of grave sin, Padre Pio. You know, I'm earnestly wanting to turn around. He would reject people that wouldn't want to turn around. And I know before you see people, they did their best to turn away from it, so I closed those sinful J talks. I'm not gonna go back to Twitch. I don't care what happens to Twitch. Just have Holy Hermit. I don't know what I'm gonna do with me. I make Catholic videos not showing my face, but I'm not there for social media. Just help me get confession. And help me get back in a state of grace. Padre Pio. Padre Pio, help me. I just need your help and Carlo, cutest name I took your name at baptism. Please help me use the internet for good. Please help me. Thank you. Thank you, Saint Padre Pio, Blessed Carlo Cutis. And please pray for this for me before the Father.
Tempting us with fleeting joys. Here are 4 signs that someone in your life is sent by the devil. 1. Recognize the darkness. On March 14th, 1985, Our Lady said, "Dear children, in your life you have all experienced light and darkness. God grants to every person to recognize good and evil. I am calling you to the light which you should carry to all the people who are in darkness. People who are in darkness daily come into your homes. 2. Beware of the people who prey on the weakness of the flesh. On September 25th, 1991, Our Lady said, "Dear children, today in a special way I invite you all to prayer and renunciation. For now as never before Satan wants to show the world his shameful face by which he wants to seduce as many people as possible onto the way of death and sin. Therefore, dear children, help my immaculate heart to triumph in the sinful world. Forget your desires, dear children, and pray for what God desires, and not for what you desire. Thank you for having responded to my call." 3. People come into your life with the power to snatch your soul to bring you and other people closer to Satan. On May 25th, 1995, Our Lady gave a powerful message about this danger. "Dear children, Satan is strong and with all his forces wants to bring closer the most people possible to himself and to sin. That is why he is on the prowl to snatch more every moment. 4. The devil sends people into our life to divide families, especially to divide the young people away from families. This is why the devil is called the Diablos, which means the divider." Vicar warned of the divisive traps set by the devil. She said, "Unfortunately, Satan is a tireless seducer. He hides evil beneath a good appearance. He tempts people these days, especially the young people and weak families. The devil makes them prefer fleeting joys, which lead inexorably to tragic unhappiness. thereby inducing them to renounce the immense joy which God grants straightway to those who resist temptation and live their Christian life in an orderly and honest manner. Vicar reminds us that God is infinite love. We have to do all that we can to obtain his intervention. So, besides praying, we should make an effort to know the revealed truth and keep away from evil. Our Lady is calling. God bless and thank you for watching.
Now, something that was very close or very dear to Padre Pio's heart were his spiritual children. So can we still become spiritual children of Padre Pio? Does this idea of being a spiritual child still exist now that he has gone to heaven? Dear friends of following Padre Pio, I am Edward Urban, presenting our channel about Padre Pio, the Capuchin monk, mystic and miracle worker whose intercession is still so powerful today. If you or a friend or a loved one is in need of Padre Pio's help or intercession, then do stay tuned to this channel in order to find out what Padre Pio can do for you. Now we go back to our story. Even today, the relevance of Padre Pio's great promise applies that he made to his devotees, his spiritual children. when Padre Pio said, "When I die, I will ask the Lord to let me stay at the entrance to heaven. I will not enter until the last of my spiritual children has entered." So that is a promise he made to his spiritual children. These may be very simple words, but they do demonstrate his complete commitment to his spiritual children. And it is, of course, further guaranteed by the Church's recognition of the holiness of the Capuchin monk, Saint Padre Pio. In addition, Padre Pio was the first stigmatized priest in history, and he is certainly a beacon of faith and spirituality to millions of people worldwide. So, for those of us who want to become spiritual children of Padre Pio, this is an important message, and it tells us how and if it still applies. Now, as Padre Pio's death was approaching, there were many, especially amongst his spiritual children, who asked him, "Father, now that you will be departing, how are we to manage without you?" And Padre Pio, who was sometimes harsh and playful at the same time, said, "Don't be silly, I'll be here in your midst, even more than before. You'll be able to visit my grave," he said. "Before, if you wanted to talk to me, you would have to wait for me, sometimes for days, but then I will be the one who has to wait for you. And if you visit my grave, you will receive more than before." This is what Padre Pio said. So now I can see there's going to be some objections. How can we pray at the tomb of someone else who's dead? Well, of course, as our Lord Jesus Christ was dead and yet rose again, so we believe there is life after death. And particularly the saints are now alive in heaven, sitting before the very eyes of God, so to speak, still praying, still interceding for us. And so obviously this does not diminish our worship of God, because we are not worshipping Padre Pio, we worship God alone. But it's part of the theology of the communion of saints. And then for those who could not travel to San Giovanni Rotondo, he gave his co-brother this option. This is Padre Tarciso Zulo. He said, "Go before the tabernacle with Jesus, you will also find me there." So where Jesus is, Padre Pio wanted to be, and of course he wants to lead us all to Jesus. Now, Fra Modestino, who, like Padre Pio, came from the same hometown as Padre Pio, that is Petrosina, he raised this issue with Padre Pio many years before his death. I was meditating on all the benefits that those who were accepted by Padre Pio as his spiritual children would enjoy. Then I thought with regret of everyone who wanted to be adopted as Padre Pio's spiritual children, but could not travel to San Giovanni Rotondo, or even worse, approached him only after Padre Pio had passed on from this earth. So one day during a confession with Padre Pio, Padre Zulo said, this inspiration took shape. And so he asked Padre Pio, "Father, can we assume that all those who commit themselves to," there's 2 points here, to one, praying the rosary every day, and point number 2, commit themselves to celebrate a holy mass from time to time for your intercessions, will they be your spiritual children? And he kind of pushes the point. He says, may we assume this or not? Padre Pio opened his arms, raised his eyes to heaven, and exclaimed, "Can I do without this great benefit? Do what you have asked, and I will be with you." And then sometime later, this new encouragement was given. "My son," this is Padre Pio speaking, "my son, increase the number of spiritual children as much as you can, because they
Hey guys. Oh, just coffee. I was just watching something on YouTube, typing on Discord. Cold instant coffee. Just relaxing, watching YouTube and stuff and chilling. I'm kind of glad my Twitch is gone. You know, it really was a thing where I was doing stuff that I know deep down I shouldn't be doing just to make a buck. You know, there's just some things that with me really don't fly in real life. And I was doing stuff I really don't want to do to make a quick buck. And I just glad the Twitch is gone. My Twitch is gone, really. I'm just really gone. It was just us doing just stuff that don't sit well with me to make an extra buck. You know, I'm not gonna go against I shouldn't go against my deep held laurels just to make an extra buck. I hold my laurels over money. And there's just some things doing, like the prank calls where I pretend to be a priest and said awful things. I mean, that's just something I feel awful about because I just, there's a type of thing where some things I wouldn't want to do. And I was doing that from just to entertain people, but really, is this something I never really would have done before money was set before me yet? There was just some things I look back at, I'm like, nah. That was going against my laurels for money. You know what I mean? I'll smoke for you guys. You guys enjoy that. But I'm just going to relax here and chill and have our conversation. You know what I mean? Talk, chill with you guys, and be friends. I get money. If I have money, if God wants me to have money, He'll provide it. But I don't have to do obscene or do things I don't want to do to make money. And I'll talk to you guys and we'll sit here and chill and be just like a group of friends chatting whenever we want. You know what I mean? I don't want to be one of those influencers that do stupid things for money and likes. I don't want to do stupid things and stuff. I don't go against what just do things else. Just do. Just things. Money's not worth everything. A lot of times I'm not gonna do. I still get back to that time, and wasn't really needing to do that stuff, or needing to. It was just leading me down the wrong path. The more you get sucked in, the more money, a little bit more money you make, the more you push the edge more. You know what I mean? So I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of pushing the edge for the extra buck. While I can smoke, because it relaxes me. And if you get something out of that, that's your prerogative. That's cool. That's cool for you. That's awesome. So I sit here and smoke because it relaxes me. And the people like that stuff, I'm cool with it, I'm cool. It's what people like, that's what people like, you know what I mean? People have their interests, Who am I to judge what people do in privacy of their own home? You know what I mean? They like watching people smoke. Hey, that's cool. They have that freedom. That's awesome. I'm not gonna judge them. They get somebody watching me smoke. I can't judge them. You guys can do. I'm not gonna tell other people what they can do or what they enjoy. And some people just like watching other people smoke. I understand that, and I fully appreciate that. But I'm just gonna sit here and chill. We're just gonna be a group of friends talking, and that's all I want is just friends to talk to and that connection outside the world. That's better than just spending and everything, sticking to a strict thing where I gotta be doing something certain and over pushing myself to get a quick buck. That was too hard of work, and it was really stressing me out because I had to do playing lots of these video games I didn't want to, or smoke multiples that were a strain on me. I'm not gonna do that for stuff that's like really, I don't know. It's just some stuff it's just.
Is it real? Genesis, an oddly good free film, and it is. Over on the God in the Nutshell website, we put together a whole array of films, new films that are out. This one is like the introduction to the introduction of Genesis, and I really would invite you to come over and take a look at it. It's about an hour long, and it's a free film, and I think it is an oddly good film. More than this, we do also delve into some weird stuff over at God in the Nutshell from time to time. I actually tend to, on this one, like the backdrop with the UFO getting the old truck. And here's what it looks like in a digital form. Aliens are demons on the screen behind me. And also this one, the Vav, that's the symbol right there, and it's pictographic form. That's the number 6 in Hebrew, in pictograph. The slogan is one will rise, and another will fall. There's a reason for that. You'll know that when you watch the films. I actually made the Vav Part 1 and Part 2 are up on the God in the Nutshell Project website, godinthenutshell.com. I felt that it was important to take the God in the Nutshell Project, at least the website and the web portions of it, and make a place not only looked nice and functioned, but also a place that was felt comfortable to speak. So I'd like to just share with you sort of what we've been putting together for the last roughly year at God in the Nutshell, and the new things that we've put up, if you'd allow me to share that with you. And also to thank you, all of you, that have purchased things over time. This is the partner streaming section of the God in the Nutshell project, and it means exactly that you can stream the films. Now the pages for the streaming section of the God in the Nutshell project, when you look at them, it's got the whole collection of our new films and more in there. This page, for example, is for the film Nimrod. Now as I scroll down on whatever device you're using, you're going to see right here it says Play Preview. Now when you become a partner, that will simply change on all of the films, where now it simply says Play Film. I can simply press play on that film right there, or any one of the films that are in the partner section, all of them. More than is what's in my hand right here, and Nimrod's a pretty impressive one. I highly recommend it. The film which would come right after Signs, which of course would be Vav. One will rise, another will fall. I think you're really gonna like that ride. Not only is the Vav in the partner streaming section, but also here's the Vav Part 1 and Part 2 in my hand right here. But also the extended, and when I say I highly recommend the extended, not just a little extended. That's a real extended version of the Vav.
Hey guys, what's up?
$20, and that's for 1 month. You've got entire batteries of films.
Hold on a
right
minute, you
here.
guys. Let me pause
Cost
this
of a movie
film.
ticket. And
What's up, guys? Just sitting here chilling. I decided this is to be a place we can chill together. You know what? Twitch, so what? It's gone. I'm not gonna be doing. I don't want to just do crazy stuff for money. I wanted to sit here and hang out with my friends I care about. You know what I mean? That's more important to me than making money. Is hanging here with you guys, my true friends. You know what I mean? That is more important than money. You know. That's more important than money. And Twitch, I just sit there and I don't know. It's just like there's just certain things I just want to sit here and chill with my friends, my people. And a lot of you are, with the economy and stuff, can't afford to be behind a paywall to be caught with ads. And I understand that. You guys do the best you can to eat. You know what I mean? Well, I'm going to go to the kitchen and grab something to eat or something. Kind of hungry. I need a little munchy thing to munch on. But just sitting here chilling, watching YouTube, whatever. Oh, what am I watching? Just different stuff on YouTube. Just different teaching videos. I'm getting back into studying theology like I used to. I was more comfortable with that and playing. I'll play video games time to time. But I'm just a real fan of theology, and reading different books and stuff and doing studies like that. That's really my place, is learn about ancient history and stuff, or learn about stuff like that. That's where I was always excelled. I gotta go to where I excel in life, and that's stuff I'm deeply interested in. Not being social media star. That is just I am back.
We're going to be taking a little bit of a ride on this one. It's not just some of your ancient records that are telling you that batteries of extremely strange things. You know, the body, human body is almost like a biological spacesuit. But the batteries of strange things have occurred on this planet. It's the Enuma Elish right here. It's certainly talking a lot of demonic things from another realm, all the way back to the very beginning. Ah, look at the head on that thing. And not only that, there's been a lot of sacrifice. In fact, child sacrifice. Something about the blood, particularly the blood of the innocent, and the drinking of the blood, goes all the way back to the altars of Baal, Tammuz, Pan, Enkidu. Pan is the little goat god with the horns on his head. You find that strange? I'm sitting here looking at the Enuma Elish. It's almost, it's almost like a dimensional thing that operates from some other realm, right through the mind that they're describing in many instances, like it wants to birth some kind of a, I don't know, like a race inside of a race. That's DNA right there. The software of life. And what's fascinating is whatever these things are, have been talking about doing that since the very beginning. All right, I'm going to read to you the text of the Enuma Elish right here. The Enuma Elish. The wisest of the wise, the sage of gods, Bel, that's Baal, was conceived. In Abzu was Marduk, the god Marduk. Marduk born. This right here on the screen, this is Marduk. And Bel, Beelzebub means Lord. Here's Marduk again. But in the stream of Marduk, this bloodline dropping down from Ham, Cush, Nimrod. Of course, Nimrod had a very wicked son named Mardon. Maybe that's Marduk. But this bloodline right here. And what a cult story would be complete without our ancient Madonnas, our sirens, our screech owls like Ishtar with the two owls on the side right here. Or Inanna, the first Madonna of all earth, hailing forth the first Antichrist, which of course would be Nimrod, and she's holding captive by the nose a lion right there. Or the serpent spiraling its way up, the ancient legend of Lilith. But in these stones, the Enuma Elish, at the very top is the Tiamat, the serpent, from which we find a lot of alien-looking characters. In fact, she states she birthed the monsters and the demons on tablet 3 of the Enuma Elish, we have the Tiamat, who is the serpent god, the creator serpent goddess. At the very top, the mother goddess is the serpent god. Beneath her, Anshar, the great-grandson to the great serpent god. In fact, right here on tablet 3, and Anshar opened his mouth, and unto Gaga. Wow, are these names sounding familiar? Unto Gaga, his minister or ministress, he spake the word. O Gaga, thou minister that rejoiceth my spirit, almost tickling the soft spot, goo goo gaga, on the belly of the snake. Let me welcome you to part 2 of the Genesis, the God in a Nutshell Genesis set. These really are awfully strange, elongated heads, aren't they? They really are sort of alien looking. Now on the Enuma Elish, where the serpent is the creator god, this is one of the oldest creation accounts, occult creation accounts in the world. It says here, with poison instead of blood, she, the serpent, filled their
Hey, guys.
bodies. Fierce monster,
What's up?
she clothed them.
This thing here, I'm French fries and have a cream soda.
This video is brought to you by Devout Decals, makers of reusable Catholic art for your home altar, your bedroom, and your home classroom.
Francis has a pretty bad track record on pretty much everything in the church, to be honest with you. But one area especially, how he deals with monstrous, sinful priests who use their positions of authority to engage in wicked sins of the flesh. His track record on that is atrocious. Only in cases where the world is watching so closely that things just can't be swept under the rug does he appear to really do anything concrete about the problem. We have another story of Francis sweeping things under the rug to go over, and it's especially a strange story because the priest is responsible for some imagery used in official Vatican artwork for various synods in the past that you've seen, meaning he is a very well-connected Jesuit priest, because yes, he's a Jesuit, and that plays rather importantly here. And Francis just spared this priest from the ultimate spiritual sentence, excommunication. So merciful of him. Let's get to the story. And as we need to do from time to time, to frame this really, let's check in with Papa Francis himself for some words of wisdom that should help us enrich our spiritual lives, help us grow in our faith, and understand the deeper mysteries of life. Francis met with leaders of some French organization in Rome recently, and he asked for their spiritual support in the most secular way imaginable. Quote, I ask you not to forget to pray for me, the pontiff urged members of the French organization leaders pour la paix. And if someone does not pray because he does not know how or cannot, at least send me good vibes. I need them for this work. End quote. Ah yes, good vibes. The church truly is in good hands these days, isn't it, folks? That really shouldn't surprise anyone, though, and it should help us to remember that Francis has an odd track record on the more pressing issues in the church today, including how bad priests who engage in wicked sins of the flesh are dealt with. Francis's track record is terrible on that. Not in a mismanagement sense, because that would only speak to incompetence, and to a degree we can all kind of sympathize with incompetence to a level. No, his track record shows that he actively sweeps this stuff under the rug, unless he absolutely cannot. We have another story pointing to this that I've been following for several days now. The LifeSite reported on this yesterday. Francis protected a high-ranking Jesuit that I've covered here before from automatic excommunication for his many attempts to engage in illicit activities of the flesh with nuns, either through, voluntarily or involuntarily. The priest didn't seem to care about consent and tried to cover his tracks by absolving the nuns in question in the confessional himself, which earns any priest who tries that an automatic excommunication, according to the Code of Canon Law. So send some good vibes to Francis for his conversion, because he clearly needs it, because he protected this priest from automatic excommunication for this. From the LifeSite News article, quote, Francis has reportedly intervened to swiftly lift the excommunication of a notable Jesuit, who was automatically excommunicated and found guilty by an ecclesiastical court of absolving in confession a woman with whom he'd had relations of the flesh. Italian news outlet Left.it recently reported that Father Marco Ivan Rupnik, S.J., had been accused of psychologically and fleshly abusing religious sisters. Rupnik, a prominent Jesuit and director of Rome's Aletti Center, had been accused by a number of nuns in Slovenia of, quote, mental games and fleshly violence, reported Left. The accusations themselves dated back to the early 1990s and involved the community of nuns, which was founded by a nun to whom Rupnik was both a friend and a, quote, spiritual father. After allegations were made against Rupnik, the Bishop of Ljubljana removed the Slovenian Jesuit from the diocese in 1992 to 1993. Since just prior to then, Rupnik has been based in Rome at the Centro Aletti, as well as directing the Centro Aletti and teaching at various pontifical institutions in the city. He has held a number of curial positions, including being a consultant for the Pontifical Council for Culture and the Pontifical Council for the New Evangelization. Rupnik, a prominent artist, has gained increased notoriety in recent years due to painting the official image of the 2022 World Meeting of Families, and upon request of John Paul II, leading the renovations of the Vatican's Redemptoris Mater chapel. Left reported that with the Vatican unable to ignore the reportedly increasing evident turmoil in the religious community Rupnik had left behind in Slovenia, an ecclesiastical procedure was initiated against him in 2021, led by fellow Jesuit Bishop Daniele Libanori, the auxiliary bishop of the Diocese of Rome, end quote. So 30 years, folks. 30 years. You may remember the story I reported in 2021 as they're getting ready for the synod and the weird art that the priest made. He has a long track record of making this weird art that many, including myself, finds deeply unsettling. The merging of the heads of Christ and saints in his artwork is a running theme in his work going back several years. I actually have a bookmark from some previous synod that I got at a parish years ago. That's image. That, by the way, this picture is here of the image of the priest's weird artwork. And I got pushback from people last year when I reported on it because I pointed out how weird it was. And it made me a little fuddy-duddy, I guess. Well, it turns out the priest is a bad, bad man, and for some reason, I'm just not that surprised by the story. Part of the reason for just not being that surprised by this story is that despite Francis's words about making sure bad priests can never cause harm again, he has a long track record of sweeping these things under the rug and protecting bad priests by keeping them close to him. This isn't his first rodeo with this. A noteworthy example of this came from earlier this year when Bishop Zanqueta from Argentina had been sent to jail for, we'll call them Ted McCarrick type allegations involving seminarians. That's the Ted McCarrick type things. Francis had given the bishop shelter from the authorities in the Vatican for some time before sending him back to Argentina to face the music. I guess that he got too hot even in Rome for Francis to cover for that guy, so he relented and sent him back to Argentina to face the music, and he has since going to be spending the next 4 years contemplating his mistakes behind bars. In the Rupnik case, Francis went further. The Jesuit case had been automatically excommunicated for, trying to have relations with a nun, or more nuns, from the sound of it. And I speak carefully here, not so much because of our host, but because we're talking about a nun and things you should never say involving nuns. Things that I can't even wrap my head around involving nuns. In case you couldn't figure it out, nuns are the earthly embodiment of the Blessed Virgin Mary. They model all aspects of their lives on them, and many orders require women to be untouched in the fleshly sense before allowing them to enter religious life. And Rupnik has a history of trying to do inappropriate things with nuns. Francis really does know how to pick the priest he wants to do important work, doesn't he? But back to the LifeSite article, this just keeps getting better and better. From the article, quote, however, according to Left's unnamed source, while the news has only emerged in recent days, Rupnik has actually already faced a canonical trial and has been found guilty in early 2022. This was corroborated by Italian Catholic news site Mesa and Latino, who wrote that, quote, high-level source had confirmed Rupnik had indeed faced trial earlier this year. The Jesuit had been convicted for, quote, absolving the accomplice in confession. According to Mason Latino, the tribunal had unanimously ruled that Rupnik had allegedly absolved in confession a woman of age and consenting with whom he had engaged in offenses against the Sixth Commandment type relations. With this being a direct violation of Canon 977, Rupnik thus would have incurred an automatic excommunication or a late sententia excommunication, according to Canon 1378, subsection 1. This was handed down by the tribunal. Yet, according to the blog's high-level sources, Francis intervened within a few hours to overturn the excommunication, thus removing the penalty from the Slovenian priest. A few hours after the notification of the sentence, however, due to pressure from Father Rupnik, the Holy Father lifted the excommunication, in contrast with the decisions of the court. I'm going to intervene here. The priest put pressure on the Holy See to lift the excommunication and make them comply. Wrap your head around that one. Continuing.
Oh, just met my own cigarettes.
On the matter ready for Scott.
Hold on, let me pause this video.
That Pope Francis's alleged intervention.
This homemade, like I usually smoke. Yeah, this is just gonna be a place where you sit and chill. You guys are my friends, you know, and stuff. We'll just sit here and chill. You know. I may lay down a while because I'm getting kind of tired, but I'm still kind of awake. Watching YouTube videos. I'll make a prank call. Just take one. Request you just take the kitchen. Texas State Penitentiary. Yeah, if I was ever sent to a Texas prison where it gets like 150 degrees in the cells, I would just ask you kindly to maybe just take me and give me a lethal injection instead of letting me bait to death like that, really. Or at least to stick me in the oven in the old kitchen. At least that'd be quicker. I'm just saying, that's a violation of the 8th Amendment right there. At least give these people some cooling. They may be bad people, but come on, at least give them some basic rights. I mean, they have a basic right to be in a humane environment. I mean, and some of these people, like, there's some people for small drug charges. I mean, what if you can, that turns them into monsters. Hello? Yeah, I was just calling. I've heard some things about Texas State Penitentiary that are horrific, and I think that rises up with the 8th Amendment. Like, if he gets, hello, I'm here, I hear you. I'm just talking. I'm a private citizen that just would like prison reform in the state of Texas. Hey guys.
In favor of Rupnik had further implications, referencing the bad things dating back to more than 30 years ago. Mason Latino wrote that the Jesuits' Attorney General wished to take Rupnik's case to trial, since these things were defined as gruesome. However, the trial did not occur, with the blog sources stating that this was due to Francis's intervention. Despite this, it seems that, due to the Holy Father's intervention, the process did not take place, precisely because it was time-barred, bound by the statute of limitations. If so, we are faced with a strange conception of ecclesiastical criminal law, continued the Catholic blog. The statute of limitations is used for friends and not for enemies. End lengthy quote. And that last bit gives the whole game away. And look, there's mercy, and then there's whatever it is Francis is doing here. Francis knows the world is watching him do this. At least the Catholic world is. You know, like maybe most Catholics will just say, well, he's the Pope. He's an oracle from God who cannot be wrong about everything, including his taste in sports teams and pop music, so it must be okay. That's not the Catholic view of the papacy. This stuff's evil, and yet this story will just get quietly swept under the rug. Now, some might say, well, a blog is reporting the story, so how accurate can it be? Well, the answer to that is simple. I've been citing Mason Latino for several years now. They've broken big stories, including Traditionis Custodes, before most other sites and news outlets did. Their sources are legitimate. They're based in Rome, from all I can tell. I saw one well-known American Catholic journalist, who I won't name here, posting on social media and they were talking about, without naming them, Mason Latino, that it was unethical for them to cite anonymous sources without what the journalist called evidence. But in reality, Mason Latino's track record is solid, and it speaks for itself. The Jesuits released an official statement, though, about Father Rupnik on December 3rd, detailing that there are still restrictions placed on the priest. I guess that's a good thing, sort of. From the official statement from the Jesuits, quote, during the Investigatio Previa, various precautionary measures were taken against Father Rupnik: prohibition from exercising the sacrament of confession, spiritual direction, and conducting spiritual exercises. In addition, Father Rupnik was forbidden to engage in public activities without the permission of his local superior. These measures are still enforced today as administrative measures, even after the response of the Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith. End quote. And that Dicastery Doctrine of the Faith response is Francis's response. The Society of Jesus takes seriously any complaint against any one of its members. They keep saying, the mission of the Society of Jesus is also a mission of reconciliation, and we want to welcome everyone and everyone openly. End quote. That's good, I guess. I mean, he's still free to walk around in public and mingle with the people. We know this because he's done public things since this came down. Presumably, he can even go visit convents if he wanted to, and it sounds like he's into that kind of thing, but at least he can't administer the sacraments in private. Though I do think that last sentence, saying that the restrictions are in place because the Jesuits take seriously allegations against any of their members, is nonsense, because who's most important Jesuit in the world right now? It's Francis. He's still a de facto Jesuit. He's the de facto head of the Jesuits. He's the head of the Jesuits. At the end of the day, it's Francis. And Francis clearly doesn't take these kind of problems all that seriously, since the priest in this story should be in a cell somewhere, instead of being mildly inconvenienced for his wicked deeds. And these restrictions aren't all that real anyway. As that LifeSite article points out, the priest is still in active ministry and even has a YouTube channel. From the LifeSite article, quote, yet notwithstanding the restrictions, he still lives under. Rupnik is enjoying a public life. His Centro Aletti YouTube channel posts a weekly video in which the priest discusses the gospel. The Diocese of Rome also posted a video in February of this year in which Rupnik was speaking about adoration. As Salari Non Pulsum noted, Rupnik also preached a clergy retreat in May. That's after these restrictions were put in place, and preached another retreat in August. Indeed, a number of recordings of public events led by Rupnik can be found online. End quote. Such great leadership in Rome these days. Just remember, traditional Catholics bad, Father Rupnik not so bad. That's the message from Rome. As reports are swirling that more anti-traditional Catholic work is coming soon from the Vatican, the Traditionis Custodes 3, I guess, then it all begs a question. What is Francis's real priority? He is the supreme shepherd, or so the bishops of the church keep telling us, yet nothing of note is done to protect the flock from the wolves that have infiltrated the priesthood. And by infiltrated, I mean they were welcomed with open arms, knowingly, from the looks of things. Father Rupnik isn't the only priest he's shielded from justice, he's just the latest example in a long list of priests he's protected. So what are we to take away from all this? I want to know what you think of this story, and let me know in the comments, please. Do you find that artwork as disturbing as I do? Do you find this story not terribly surprising? What other stories about priests being shielded from by Francis do you remember? Let me know in the comments, please. Like and subscribe if you haven't. It really does help. This is sharing this on social media. That helps a lot.
Hello everyone and welcome to The Vortex, where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. I'm Michael Vorse, expressing our thanks in advance for your generosity in donating to our work here in always presenting authentic Catholicism. You can make your end-of-year donation by clicking on the provided link. There is a prevalent view that a man involved in good works, that he is on his way to heaven. That salvation is either assured or demonstrated, depending on which theological square you may be standing on. There are, for example, many involved in the very important work of pro-life, or feeding the poor, or helping out at soup kitchens, or teaching the faith. All of that is laudable and, of course, needs to be done. But a serious question for the individual here arises. Is it possible to be involved in such work, even if it's your life's work, and still be damned? Well, of course it is. The distinction was made by St. Bernard when he spoke of the difference in the spiritual life of being a channel of grace versus being a reservoir. Hear him. The channels let the water flow away and do not retain a drop. But the reservoir is first filled and then, without emptying itself, pours out its overflow, which is ever renewed, over the fields which it waters. How many there are that are devoted to works who are never anything but channels, and retain nothing for themselves but remain dry while trying to pass on life-giving grace to souls. We have many channels in the church today, but very few reservoirs. Consider even the work of sinners and the eventually damned. God uses that in his providence. He even uses Satan's malice for his own end. The damned apostle Judas was a channel of grace. Pontius Pilate was a channel of grace. Annas and Caiaphas were both channels of grace. While each have free will and may choose our own demise, what our future choices will be are already known to God, and he crafts his divine plan of salvation accordingly. This is why, when understanding the spiritual battle, one must never view it in terms of Satan versus God. No creature, Satan is a creature, stands in juxtaposition to the Creator. The battle began between Michael and Satan and is now concluded in Our Lady, the woman, and Satan. God has no rival, as he is outside of time as well as completely over it. So the sinner, in the natural order or otherwise, never knows the future, but God does. Accordingly, he incorporates the free will decisions of men that they make against him into his divine providence, reducing such men to channels of grace.
And this ministry bought my phone number just because I had a question about history. I thought something was right that I read at the, I don't know. Technically, I don't know, I just feel alone in life. You love me. You really do. I say no matter what I do, I'm not accepted anywhere.
Grandma, didn't you blow bubbles as a kid?
Oh, depends. A lot, though. I really can't count as I make my own with a machine. Tobacco tubes. But, yeah.
Peru's Congress voted to oust President Pedro Castillo in an impeachment trial on Wednesday, just hours after he plunged the country into a constitutional crisis by attempting to dissolve the legislature by decree. That morning, he announced he would temporarily shut down Congress and call for new elections, sparking allegations of a coup.
Por lo que, in response to citizens' demands throughout the length and breadth of the country, we have decided to establish an exceptional government aimed at re-establishing the rule of law and democracy.
Ignoring Castillo's attempt, lawmakers moved ahead with the previously planned impeachment trial, with 101 votes in favor of removing him, 6 against, and 10 abstentions. The result was announced with loud cheers, and the legislature called for Vice President Dina Boluarte to take office, who was later sworn in as interim president. The ex-president has since been detained by police and accused of the crime of rebellion for breaking the constitutional order according to Peru's public ministry. The prosecutor's office in October filed a constitutional complaint against Castillo for allegedly leading a criminal organization. Castillo has called the allegations slander. The leftist teacher-turned-president had survived 2 previous attempts to impeach him since he began his term just over a year ago. But after his announcement that he would dissolve Congress, allies abandoned him and his ministers resigned. After Peruvian lawmakers voted to oust Castillo, demonstrators in the streets of Lima chanted, "We did it, we did it," with one protester telling Reuters that as long as there's a brave and combative youth, the Peruvians will have a government elected by the people.
Brought to you by PrayLatin.com, makers of prayer cards featuring complete English phonetic renderings. Brought to you by Charity Mobile, the phone company that shares your values. More information is available at CharityMobile.com. Francis has a knack for embracing ancient pagan notions of honoring what those ancients thought was God. It's one of the very biggest signs that Francis probably isn't a Catholic, but something else, a universalist of some kind. A Catholic he almost certainly cannot be. The Pachamama event is the most obvious example of this that most Catholics who are paying attention are aware of, and is wearing of symbols of a similar ancient South American demon that is akin to Pachamama. That thing was called the Atacama, and it's from another part of that same continent, is just another example. On his recent trip to Canada, where Francis threw the church under the bus, Papa Francis took part in several ceremonies that are just frankly pagan in nature, including a smudging ceremony and something involving the calling on the wind and the invoking of a demon called the Great Western Grandmother. Now, exorcists are warning that because of all this, we should expect to see a rise in demonic activity. I mean, what he does has impacts on the church, regardless of whether you think he's Pope or not, sort of irrelevant here. The battle for the hearts and souls of those who profess Christ continues, and unfortunately, part of that battle involves the man the world sees as Pope. LifeSite News is reporting the story, and so it's to LifeSite News we turn now. Headline from LifeSite: Exorcists warn of rise in demonic activity following local ancient pagan rituals. With exorcists now starting to see harmful results in children, perhaps parents will begin to demand more from their Catholic schools. Like is unfortunately often the case, we see the most vulnerable being impacted by the evil deeds of those who should be doing the very most to protect them from this, frankly, what looks like organized evil. This stuff is truly twisted. The photo that I'm putting on the screen here comes from the article, and it shows Francis accepting a ritual feather from an elder of one of the tribes, which is frankly similar to something he did with the Pachamama event in 2019, when he accepted a tukum ring, which is a ritual ring, from one of their elders in a demonic version of a nuptial rite in that belief system. And yes, I did look deeply into what was going on there, and it was a nuptial rite. It had a marital spin on it. And I covered that some time ago on this channel. But the article shows us that there are, frankly, despite what many people might believe, there are very, very real consequences to those who we think are running the church engaging in these kinds of evil deeds. Keep that in mind as we go over this. From the article, quote, although elements of paganism have been creeping into various parishes and dioceses for some time, the blatant idolatry on display during the 2019 Pan-Amazon Synod really opened the floodgates. Since that time, faithful Catholics in the West have been inundated by what we'll call local ancient emblems, prayers, and rituals in what appears to be an attempt to change the church's very identity. In Australia, that trend is quite evident, and the focus on the local ancient culture, which is being promoted politically and in the corporate world, is being mirrored by the church, because of course it's being mirrored by the church. As the world goes, so goes the church since the council. When too much attention is given to another form of spirituality, there is always a risk that preeminence of the Catholic faith will be overlooked. However, that is not the extent of the problems facing an institution that is starting